Welcome back, everybody. This time, Daniel's back from vacation, but right now, no video, so it's gonna be another one of those audio podcasts.
And it's all my fault again.
It's nobody's fault. Everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, and obviously, we weren't meant to have video today, but maybe next time we will.
Right, exactly.
So, how was your vacation, Daniel?
I'm exhausted. I just got back last night at midnight from a 3.5 week road trip, but feeling amazing. It's nice to be home, to be honest.
I imagine. I know after vacation, I sometimes need like a day from vacation. It's like we get going on vacation so fast that we almost make it another job.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I basically went on a pilgrimage. It wasn't just a vacation, that's for sure. Well, it was definitely more than that.
Well, do you want to share a little bit with the audience?
Sure. I haven't even integrated yet, but I went on a 3.5 week road trip. Basically portal hopped, if you could say that. I went to Shasta, I went to Sedona, I went to Taos, I went to Monterey at Silomar for a meditation retreat. I went to Mammoth, went to Joshua Tree for a while, 6 days.
Great places.
And Nevada City, and then I came back.
Wow.
So there's a lot of things.
Sounds like you went to some very energetic filled places there.
Definitely. I don't know how much I believed in certain places are energetic, and now I definitely believe it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind.
I've always believed that there are energy centers.
I don't know if I didn't believe it or believed it. I didn't think about it. I just being in those places and seeing the difference, because I hopped them so fast that I got to experience how they all felt different. So going from Sedona and Taos to Joshua Tree to Mount Shasta, I mean, that's a big leap in like energy, but I could feel the difference even in me being in different places. Like how I would relax or how I would want to move or what I would want to do. But it was amazing.
I know when I went to Machu Picchu, there's an energy just of Peru overall. When I went down there, and everybody talks about, well, what's it like? And all I can say, it's an experience, and to talk about it, words are just so limiting, and you can't really elaborate on that. And I'm sure you understand after what you've been through this few weeks. But there's when you get to the top of Machu Picchu, because it's like way at the top of this mountain, not only is it really high, but you feel like this burst of energy. It's like all of a sudden you might be tired, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, where's that tiredness? Or there's a feeling in the heart for me. And, everybody's different, but that's what it was like for me.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I mean, I haven't been to Machu Picchu, but certain places, I believe that thought forms grow. So say I'm in Denver and I'm going to live near Red Rocks. And for me, like, there's been so much inner growth and music and play there that I'm being around that all the time. I'm going to feel it. Kind of setting yourself up for success, right? Like right now I'm sitting in a park looking at trees in this apartment complex I'm staying at. And like, I could choose to sit in an office that's sterile right now, but it's going to give me a different energy.
Yeah.
It's like setting myself up for success by surrounding myself with beauty.
Yeah, and there's something about nature too that gives you that connection. Yeah.
I mean, I was being at a Silomar. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No, I've never. That's one place I haven't heard of. I've heard of all the others, but that one I actually was going to ask you about that one.
So it's in Monterey, California, which is beautiful, and this car alarm's going off. That's not very naturey, but so a Silmar is there. That's where Wayne Dyer did the movie The Shift. It's where he used to go all the time to like write his books and things.
Oh yeah,
and that's where the meditation retreat was. And you just like relax just walking there. I mean, it's garden, but I think so many people have gone there to, to connect with themselves, that's just the energy of the place. Kind of like going into a temple or a church, like you feel something. And if you go into a bar, you feel something too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel that out of control craziness of that energy, which sometimes people need.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would suggest going there in a second. I couldn't leave. We kept on staying there even after the retreat. Like, I never want to leave this place.
So yeah, I hadn't heard of that place. So that's where Wayne Dyer was writing his books, huh?
Yeah. And did his movie, and I mean, you could definitely, I felt his presence there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was just my mental knowing that he was there, but yeah, there's just a calmness. Obviously I was meditating a lot, so maybe that had to do with it, but I'm kind of still in that space, if you can tell.
Yeah, it's that's what happens to me. Like when I went to Vipassana, that was 10 days. And
right.
Man, when you come back, it's a lot of it's an effort to stay in that state as you start integrating, because all of a sudden you realize how much noise is around our world.
Mm.
Yeah, and I remember when I came back, it's like I was very focused, and then all of a sudden, as I started integrating back into the daily lives, it's like I was, luckily, because I recognized the big changes, I was able to go, it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to do this part. This was just a habit I was doing. I learned so much from everything about that. It's like a reset button, in my opinion.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's how it feels. I mean, it was weird coming back. It was almost like, the way I describe what I felt when I drove back into Denver is like I just went through a ringer. Like I was a towel and someone like wringed me out.
Mm-hmm.
And then like now it's kind of the same thing, a reset button. Where it was like, oh my God, like I don't even know who I am kind of thing. But I do at the same time.
Right. Well, you're resetting yourself to find that place in you, because every time we go through something like that, a meditation retreat, a personal development retreat, whatever you go into, there's always that point, and it's always a choice, right? We can always choose to integrate what we learned, or we can choose to ignore it and just go back to the normal way it was.
Right.
Yeah.
That's. Oh, go ahead.
No, what I was gonna say, it's like that's what I've always seen in these kind of things, and I see a lot of people that go to all these meditation retreats, and they keep going, but they never integrate. Once they come back, they go, it's like they go back to the daily routine. They're out doing what they were doing even before they went to the meditation retreat. And when I ask them, what? Why are you going back to the meditation retreat? Is it's like I lost my Zen place, and now I got to go back to get that again. And it's like the way I've seen it, and I've talked about it a lot about this, is we don't integrate what we've learned into our daily lives. We rather reset and go, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go back. Like a little mini vacation in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's so important. I mean, that's why I woke up early today, and I've probably meditated like 2.5, 3 hours today.
Mm-hmm.
Probably why I'm so calm. And I'm drinking kava tea. I was like, this might not be the best idea before this podcast. But I'm like, I'm going to be so relaxed. Maybe I'm going to be selling meditation. But yeah, and it's good. I got a house to sit. So I'm going to have this, and it's a ceremony house. So it's kind of perfect. So I'm
very nice.
Yeah, take some time and move real slow and not be social. And yeah, because I don't want to, go back and just jump right into what I did.
No,
I think it's so important to even, I mean, it would be like going to a retreat. Like, it's important to continue to do it, right? Like, that's the key.
Yes, the practice. We got to keep up the practice. If not, it just becomes another trip we're taking.
Right. Exactly. But I think just taking that time to be with yourself integrates it naturally.
Yeah, it does. And that's I love what you're doing. It's like taking your time to really let things soak in. And I guess that's really when it gets down to it. I guess that's what I mean by integration. We have to let all that stuff sink in. And if we come back and we move back at the same pace we left, then that stuff doesn't sink in as much. Like with you taking that time, especially in the ceremony house, it's going to be a calm area. It's going to be somewhere where you can actually contemplate some of the training or meditations or whatever you discovered or whatever you learned, and just allow it to sink in and really put it into your daily life. And then you can slowly kind of bring it into your day-to-day life. I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah, and that's the big thing to integrate is moving slower.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm really good at moving fast, which is not a bad skill to have.
It's not. Absolutely not. Sometimes I wish I had that.
But moving slow is definitely something that's new. In a good way. And, I say good way, which is not very zen of me, but that's okay. That's okay. Words are limited.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, finding that balance within, I think is so key. And, the one thing came up is we didn't have our cell phones most of the time. And, coming from, I like to come from a Palladian perspective, we are so, addicted to these cell phones that's a big integration for me. Because I would go out to dinner and go out on the town with no cell phone.
Yeah.
And I had to actually talk to people and ask questions, and it was all fine, and get a map. And not that you don't use maps and GPS,
mm-hmm.
but I think we so much think we need them to like run a business. And I was getting clients and people working with me at the retreat. I didn't need the internet to get clients even.
Right.
So letting go of that addiction, like it's necessary. And I know you're the tech life balance guy, but for me, like not having my phone on when I'm not using it, like text people, then turn it off for 2 hours, then turn it back on and text people, like using my phone almost like I would use email or use a laptop, but less using it when I don't need it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There's a beauty to technology, and there's just like everything though, technology can be a beautiful tool, but it can also be a very hindering tool. I mean, we're so connected and we get spoiled, that's the other part. We get spoiled that we feel that technology is moving so fast and it's connecting us. And the reality is it's another tool to connect. And I love what you said. It's like you didn't have your phone and you were still creating business out of that. That goes to show you technology is just another tool that helps that process. But overall, if we do it one-on-one, it still works. It's still human nature. But a lot of people think that you take the phone away or you take the internet away and it's like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I felt that too. And I mean, as a tool, I agree. It's amazing. Like if I got to find a place to eat or whatever, but actually asking the local where to go eat was a smarter move.
Yeah.
Because then you're not going to get in a tourist trap. So I just kept on going to the local people and being like, where do we eat? And they'd be like, yeah, all the tourists go here, but you need to go here.
Yeah.
And who even knows if the internet's rigged, when it comes to that stuff. I'm sure it is. So, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But, just using that tool to your advantage, but also just knowing you have the internal technology to find your way to where you need to go. And I mean, my cell phone, some reason, is dying fast, so I couldn't use it on my way home.
Yes.
And I was forced to sit in silence for like 12 hours driving. And I'm like, oh. And I was like creating my own fun without anything else. And I didn't listen to music a lot, and I was creating my own music, out of what was happening in the world. And I was like, oh, like we lose our creativity because we're constantly inundated with other people's creativity.
Correct.
A child that was 5 creates a game to get through the day, but we don't create that because we're addicted to other people's creations. which is fine. We want to experience that, but there has to be a balance. And we're obviously way off balance when it comes to technology.
Oh, yeah.
Probably 110% one way.
Yeah, I love what you said with that. It's like, and I never thought about it that way. Technology does allow us to see other people's creativity to the point that we forget our creativity. I love that because I would have never thought about that, because I was wondering, it's like, oh, this is great. I can hear all these people. And we have so much information out there on the internet that we can access through our phones, that we go, it's like, oh, you know what? It's already built. And I mean, and how many times do you hear out there? It's like, oh, why are you going to create something? It's probably already been invented. And that's because we're being inundated with all these information overload. So we forget that, oh, hey, we're powerful creators here.
Mm-hmm.
Or inventors, one or the other, however you want to word that.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we miss that connection with ourselves and what we know internally. I mean, I guarantee you, if you really wanted to, you could go on a road trip and get somewhere, where you needed to go. You'd buy a map. You would ask someone, like, you would figure it out. Because you have an internal way of being. I mean, I went on this road trip and I had a bounce check and lost my debit card. I mean, I lost all my technology. Let's just say that. And I still was fine.
Yeah.
People would Venmo me money. Someone gave me money. I got home with $20 in my pocket. That was it. With no credit card. And we think we need all these things. And yes, they're tools. But again, what I learned is they're, again, addictions in a way. I need to have a credit card because I need to get gas, or what if I don't have money? I'm like, well, then you'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what I did when I I got to get home, I just bought apples. I ended up eating healthier, not having as much money, ironically. Because then you're buying like avocados and apples, and you're like, well, bananas. And you're like, I'll just eat this.
Yes.
And it's just funny. Like, you figure it out, which made me realize from that, like, we're always abundant. Like, if you have more than you need in that moment, you're abundant. And it's just that simple. Like, we think we got to, like, stack up a bunch of money and apples and bananas and grapes and, canned food just in case something happens. But
yes,
you'll always have extra when you need extra, and you'll have nothing when you need nothing.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me that we always think that we need this, and then when it's gone, somehow we always adapt.
Right.
And that's beautiful. I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm glad that you saw the other side of that, because not many people do that, because we're so used to having technology there that sometimes some people don't even realize it. And that's I feel comes down to the point where some people don't feel that they have their own power. You knew you're a creator, and you knew through your inner child that you could figure it out. But I feel that there's a lot of men in particular out there that rely on a lot of these tools and all of this stuff, that sometimes we are guilty of it, where we rely on these tools and then something happens. It's like, oh, wait a minute. And we got to get that creative child. And I noticed that some people are afraid of that inner child, so they can't get that creativity up and going.
Right.
It's been very interesting to see that.
Yeah. I mean, just look at the world. Like, people, I was thinking of this meditation earlier. Like, what if, say you're on Facebook 20 minutes a day, like, people meditated for that 20 minutes a day. Like, what if instead of watching that show every night, people drew? Like, what if you created music instead? Like, and I'm not saying it has to be perfect, right? Like, you can take in some entertainment, but just a little more towards your passions, like, makes a big difference. I mean, I can do poetry on the fly. I can juggle. I can perform. And people are like, how do you do all these things? How are you good at all this stuff? And I'm like, because I'm not watching TV. Like I'm juggling, or I'm dancing, or I'm doing the things I love to do.
Yes.
Because I want to be that creator. And not that I wouldn't watch a movie or something. I mean, I will see the new Marvel movies when they come out.
Mm-hmm.
But at least those inspire me. While there's most of the movies and TV shows, as Kyle Cease would say, it was the meditation retreat tears. It's just look at a problem and look, we solve that problem. Look, there's another problem. Like, it's like they sabotage themselves and then they go back to where they were. That's most TV shows and movies. They're not actually growing to anything new. Some do, but a lot of them don't. They're like, oh, I'm here in town, and then my daughter gets kidnapped, and then I go save my daughter, and I'm back to where I was.
Yeah.
There's no change in the person. It's just like constant fear and sabotage. And that's not really how life works.
And it's also reinforcement of what they already know. So it's like, oh, I know how to save my child, and we're going to extremes, of course. I know how to save my child. It's like, oh, okay, I just need to be violent, or I need to fight or something. So that just reinforces everything in the movie. It's like, oh, look, he saved his child. So then the next movie comes out and it's part 2 and it's the same concept. So it's never really, like you said, that is still the same thing. It's never growing. The character is always the same.
Yeah. No, and yeah, it's always the same. And for me, it's sad. Like, I don't know, I live in this bubble, I guess, where people are growing. And, I came from this beautiful place, and then I come back to the world and I just see people carrying Amazon packages and not being happy. And it's kind of sad. What's happening? Like, there's this whole other realm of consciousness people can access, but they'd rather turn on a box that's going to brainwash them.
Mm-hmm.
And, which is kind of what's happening. I mean, I don't think it's so purposeful, but it kind of is, right? An advertisement is just manipulative brainwashing in a weird, bizarre way, right?
Yeah, it's all conditioning.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, it makes me sad. Because I want people to be free and be able to experience life and live. I think people are much more scared to live than they are to die.
Mm.
Which is pretty crazy. I think that's from the 4 Agreements. I'm stealing it. But
Miguel Ruiz, I love his writings.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, the 4 Agreements actually is pretty good little book that I think. I have it on my bookshelf all the time, and it's if nobody has read it out there, if anybody has read it out there, or if you haven't read it, pick up a copy on Amazon, and you're gonna see life so differently.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm gonna say to go pick it up at your bookstore. I'm gonna be my activist hippie self, but doesn't matter. But either way works. But I think it's one of the best. I love the best books are short and to the point.
Yes,
best spiritual books I've ever read. I just think, it's profound in all what it says. And it talks a lot about conditioning,
mm-hmm.
How conditioned we are, which is why the meditation's so important. You're basically going, I know I'm conditioned every single day. I need to go meditate to detox all of this conditioning. Like, because you can't avoid it.
Yeah.
Like, unless I'm going to hide in the woods, which I do, but I mean, there's some part of me that wants to be in the world also.
Well, it's the human nature. We want to be part of the world. I mean, we are societal creatures. I mean, yes, we want our isolation once in a while to recover, especially if we're listening to our bodies and to our mind and our heart. I mean, all those come together. It's like there's times when we need to rejuvenate. And back to that whole energy thing. I mean, your energy, technically and scientifically, you are expending energy, whether it's brain energy, heart energy, exercise, muscle energy, one way or another. we need that time to refresh. And I feel that's part of the other thing that, we're always going so fast that we need other types of things to really get us moving. So we need tons of coffee, or we need tons of energy drinks, or we need tons of this or tons of that. And, they're like everything else in balance. It's a good thing. But when we are relying on that all the time, then there's something that we can look at than that and discover what that is.
Right. Yeah. No, that's funny, because on my drive home, because I wanted to get home and sleep in a bed, and I drank mate, so I was having more sugar and, healthy drinks, energy drinks. And then today I'm drinking kava because, I don't have to be anywhere.
Yeah.
So, there's points where we strive and need to move, and there's points where we get to stay still. And we obviously live in a society and a culture that really, really promotes moving and striving and working 12 hours, right? I'm going to work 70 hours a week, and then my dreams are going to come true. Like, there's this work hard mentality, which isn't bad. I'm not saying to never do that, but it's not in balance. That's why everyone has heart disease and anxiety. It's basically just running your system too fast.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what causes our exhaustion. That's what causes everything about us. There's always I call it a cost-benefit analysis. It's like, how much is it costing you, and how much is it benefiting you? That's all balance is. It's like, where is the point of the pendulum swinging one way and too much one way, and time to bring it back, and then making it swing back to center. And everybody's point is different. Your point of your middle point, your balance point, is different than my balance point. And everybody else's balance point. So that's why I believe there's so much out there about how to find your center. Everybody learns differently. So there's so many different modalities out there because of that. And we just got to figure out which one works for us, because what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you, Daniel, or any of our audiences listening.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say some form of meditation is important. Getting off some technology and just focusing on your breath or being with yourself. I don't care how, right? Like, it could be you go fishing or go hiking or sit with yourself.
Yeah, however it works.
Yeah. But I'm not watching TV or, doing stuff like that people think is relaxing, but it's not. You're still taking in information. So it's not relaxing to your mind. Well, even reading a book, which I love to read, if it's information and not a story, it's still going to be too much for your mind. It's like you're taking on more information. It would be like constantly putting downloads on a computer and then never letting the computer finish downloading anything. Like, it would just slow the whole computer down at some point.
Yes.
So you have to just download one thing, rest, download the next thing. You can't. And I think as spiritual beings, or as people in general, we get overloaded with information. And that can be just as harmful as lack of information.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, the real easy test, this is, people tell me, oh, well, I'm able to block things out, and I always hear that. But, the real test, and this happened to me a couple of times, just imagine, like, when there's usually the power outage. And if you're in your house or apartment or wherever you're at, when there's a power outage, that's true silence there. Because if you're in a place where cars aren't coming by or anything like that, and the power goes out, people don't realize that there's a humming from the refrigerator, a humming from the AC, a humming from the fan, a humming from little devices here and there that we don't even notice. And when the power goes out, there is a silence. And I've noticed that a couple of times when we had some power outages over here. And it's amazing to see the difference in the sound. It's like there is a deafening sound to that. I don't know if you ever experienced that, but when the power goes out in my place, And I'm kind of like in a place where only a few cars come on by, but when the power goes out, it's like, holy cow. It's like, wow. It's like, I'm always amazed at how much noise is created in my house alone.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, when I was driving back, I was in the middle of nowhere in Nevada. And I mean, like, there was another car around,
Mm-hmm.
but there wasn't civilization within 50 miles. And I just enjoyed it. Like, it was so silent. And living in a house with no Wi-Fi far away, silence is different. I mean, this is why I don't live in cities. I mean, it's just a different level of stimulation all the time.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, it's just not healthy. But yeah, it's crazy. When I live in the middle of nowhere and I go camping, you can hear the silence. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like you're in space or something. You're like, what is this? It's like your body can relax. I think that's why cryogenics. What's the thing? Cryo chambers. People love those.
Oh yeah, what are the floating tanks and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I've never done it, but I assume it's the same, because it's pure silence.
Oh man, those are so interesting. If you haven't had a chance to, you should. And you go in there and you're like floating and it's deafening quiet. And to me, oh man, it's like a little Nirvana moment there for me. Because you're floating, so your body has no sensation of touch or anything. And if you stay there long enough, all of a sudden, different people have different experiences. But my experience was I could just detach from my body, and I could literally feel my soul and my essence of who I was at that point. And I'm not talking the physical essence of who I am. It's like the actual, this is Mario. And it's incredible. I recommend that for anybody. And it's dark. It's definitely going to be a dark place. So get ready for that. And it's very quiet. And you will see what quietness is for sure.
Yeah. No, I think all that's so important because if our body is an energetic system, and I am not a scientist, but if it is an energetic system, it needs to be shut down at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't shut it down, it's going to run. We're obviously like overloaded televisions that have been on all day that are overheating.
Mm-hmm.
And finding that way to ground, right?
Yes.
So putting your feet in the earth, being in nature, going to a cryo chamber, whatever it is, exercising.
Man.
It's just necessary for us to function. More important than getting more work done.
I agree. Well, the body is what keeps us here on this earth. So if we want to stay longer on earth, hey, then we need to kind of get that at least processing healthy stuff.
Right.
Whatever that is. And everybody's different, and everybody's body is different also. So what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the others.
Right.
So.
No, it's definitely true. No, and it's just, again, like, how do you use your time? I think that's so important. Like, are you choosing to meditate? Are you choosing to write? Are you, because like how you choose to use your time, and sometimes playing is what you need, but like, what are you doing? Is it benefiting you? Because if you just took 30 minutes a day to learn an instrument, you'd be a musician within 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad we are with using our time.
Yes.
And that's because we're so indoctrinated and addicted to all these things that remove us from connecting with ourselves, right? Because playing an instrument, you'd have to connect with yourself. It scares the crap out of people.
Definitely.
Just men. And that's why we sucked for so long.
Well, Daniel, I think it's coming around that time, and I'll let you continue drinking your kava tea, and let's see. I'm still doing the challenges with Scott. Scott, actually, who was the one that came and did. He was your replacement for a little bit, temporary replacement. we still did our challenges. So is there a challenge you want to do, or you want to change it to something else? Since you any new tip or something that you want people to know about since you went on your retreat?
Yeah, I guess grounding is the thing that's coming up. And I know I talk about it constantly. And that's because I'm not great at it. It's something my growth. But I think just putting your feet in the grass. I mean, there's scientific studies that show that it reduces inflammation. But I think, this is not, I think a lot of our back pain and what we go through in our bodies is just lack of grounding, lack of connecting. So, do it in your backyard so no one knows you're weird. I don't know. But I walk around barefoot all the time. I know it seems hippy dippy tree hugger type thing, but
I walk around as much as I can barefoot. So I'm right with you.
Yeah. And even just going out and sitting, like I'm sitting in a camping chair and putting my feet in the grass. This can be that simple.
Yeah.
You'll feel a lot better. It's weird. And you'll have a lot more energy to do the other things and to, be with your kids. It's bizarre. I don't know why, but it works.
It works. It's an energy center. It's they call Gaia, Mother Earth, whatever you want to call our planet. I feel it has an energy source. And that's a great tip. So grounding by using Mother Earth, the grass.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that. Grounding is definitely one of the things that a lot of people, including myself, need to be doing all the time, because that's really what brings us back to our way of being. And for me, it's just I'll just tack on to that. It's we said it in the last podcast. So it's cool that nature came back around. We said about sitting under a tree. So why not go ahead and put your back against the tree and just sit and feel the grass underneath the tree and let that sink in and let that ground you like that. Mother Nature can be a powerful healer, so just let it be. Thank you.
That is true.
Thank you, Daniel, and I'll look forward to having you on video for next time.
Right? You get to see my pretty face again.
All the relax.
It's good for everyone's self-esteem.
All relax and everything. And thank you, audience. Listen. Don't forget to subscribe to us. And, if you have any comments, please feel free to put some comments below. Thank you very much.
Love you guys.